voice is raised for freedom. Through the broad earth's aching breast runs a thrill of joy, prophetic, trembling from the east unto the west, and our souls within us cower, feel the truth within us climb to the awful verge of personhood with an energy sublime. The words of James Russell Lowell's great hymn echo the passions of Jack Mendelsohn and his deeds of and for freedom, especially during the decade when he served as the minister of the Arlington Street Church in Boston. And I'm so pleased to say that there are members of that congregation here this afternoon because they hold the secret of that particular ministry that was so empowering to the city, to the denomination, to the country. The Arlington Street Church memory was the signature of Jack's. As the Vietnam War roiled this country, young and men came to the church knowing there that they would find a protective voice. As they ceremoniously walked down the church aisles and held their draft cards into the flames emanating from William Ellery Channing's candlesticks in front of that pulpit. And a decade later, young wanderers from across the country, those wild asses of Jack's profound affection, came in search of a human society that would love them, that would honor them, that would defend and protect them. And they camped out in the Arlington Street Church's aisles and galleries in anticipation that they had found the society that they had looking for. And as the tidal wave of black power confronted Unitarian Universalism, and the white leaders struggled with the demands, it took a specifically prophetic figure of enormous strength and courage to challenge the denomination. And at the moment of decision, how many of you remember that moment? How many of you were there? Well, this is for you. At that moment of decision, Jack Mendelsohn stood like an Old Testament prophet, rebuking the heedless assembly with the charge that its actions was nothing but a recasting with the ultimate racist jibe back to the back of the bus. Jack Mendelsohn stung us to righteousness. Throughout his years, he told us what we were and what we are and what we had the opportunity to become, and he stamped us with his passion, his belief in the dignity and worth of all. And he revealed our actions to reflect the truth of justice lodged at the core of his being, and yes, at the core of our being as well. Jack was our prophet. He told us the truth, that the world was out of sync, that actions have consequences, and that we live in a morally coherent creation. The man whose life and character we honor today belongs in the company of the dazzling prophets of our time, Daniel Ellsberg, Desmond Tutu, Jonathan Kozol, but Jack was ours. Jack was ours. Our prophet. Our indispensable voice of liberal religion in the 20th century. Our time raised his voice for freedom. Amen.
Wendell Berry's poem about aging says, no, there's no going back. Less and less you are that possibility you were. More and more you have become those lives and deaths that have belonged to you. You have become a sort of grave containing much that was and is no more in time, beloved, then, now, and always. And so you have become a sort of tree standing over a grave. Now more than ever, you can be generous toward each day that comes, young to disappear forever, and yet remaining unaging in the mind. Every day you have less reason not to give yourself away. Every day you have less reason not to give yourself away, and Jack Mendelsohn died giving himself away in the sense that Berry means. But then he had spent his whole life doing just that, giving himself away to his parishioners, his passion for justice, to those he loved, to Unitarian Universalism. I first met him in 1977 when he, along with any number of other people, was running for president of the UUA. He preached about justice. I knew nothing at all about Jack other than that my minister was supporting one of the other candidates, and I was supposed to too. I voted for Jack. He was an unusual combination of easy to love, quick to inspire others to action, and also quick to inspire others to anger, or at the very least, ardent disagreement with some of his decisions and opinions. But here's the thing. He was also astonishingly easy to forgive, as any number of people eventually found out to their surprise. Jack didn't bear grudges, and it was hard to hold one about him. He was a tough intellectual like A. Powell Davies, an unrepentant liberal. His incisive analyses and eloquent words have seeped into the very bones of Unitarian Universalism, repeated by those who never met him and might not recognize his name. Whenever I have visited any of the church he has served, he's always referred to years, decades later, with reverence, the very embodiment of what a prophetic and beloved minister should be. Pity his poor successors. I last saw Jack a couple of months ago now. He had been bedbound for months. He was thin, weak, and knew he was dying. I asked him what he had been thinking about. He was thinking about Judith, of course. He was always thinking about Judith. And he told me that he was thinking a lot about his father, too, a vaudeville song and dance man. Who knew? I asked if he was musical, too, and he told me that he used to play the trumpet. Naively, given the circumstances, I asked him if he still played. He hadn't played in years, he said, and the trumpet was probably stashed somewhere in the house. We kept talking, but Judith disappeared and came back maybe 15 minutes later with, wouldn't you know, the trumpet, dusty and battered. Jack looked as though his best friend from a very long time ago had shown up. And then, against all odds, he played the damn trumpet for us, giving himself away yet again.